Welcome to Mishawaka as St. Joe traveled to the cave. And the starters, Sydney Sooth. Number 5, Sarah Ritten. Number 7, Sydney Hull. Number 10, Bella Kaminsky. Number 12, Megan Madden. And number 15, Sammy Jerkovic. And the starters for your Mishawaka Lady Cavemen. Number 1, Hannah Weiss. Number 2, Emily Eggleston. Number 7, Mackenzie Thornton. Number 9, Bailey Reister. Number 13, Cammie Dustin. And number 23, Jordan Holland.
Hello everybody, welcome to the cave. I'm Isaac Hayes.
And I'm Kyle Traxler.
As we get ready for action here from Steel Stadium. From the cave, excuse me. As Jordan Holland will serve first for the Cavemen. Scheid sets it up, Eggleston goes up. Tipped at the net there by Hannah Weiss as the ball falls. Point, St. Joe. Back to serve for the St. Joe Indians. Number 4, Sydney Sooth. Sooth, serve goes over the net. Thornton bumps Holland with a set. And they're going to call Holland on a double hit.
St. Joe is off to an early lead, 2-0 in this first period.
Kyle, we had a rough going before this event started, but I'm just happy we got everything figured out as St. Joe will get their 3rd straight point.
Yes, it was a rough start, but we got everything going and should be smooth sailing from here.
As the Indian serve will go out of bounds, point Mishawaka. Back to serve for the Cavemen is number 2, Emily Eggleston. Eggleston serve clears the net. Might have gone out of bounds if not touched there, but it goes anyway. And a tip there by 10, Bella Kaminsky, but the Cavemen were right there to block the tip. 2-3 St. Joe, in this first period. Eggleston back to serve. Serve clears the net. St. Joe will set it up here with a little spike tip, I guess. Holland will set it up for Cammie Dustin. And a nice spike there by 10 Kaminsky for St. Joe, as that'll increase the Indian lead to 4. Kaminsky to serve for the Indians. To Eggleston. Thornton. Got to get it over here. Hannah Weiss hits the ball over, but that ball goes long and out of bounds. Point St. Joe.
Right there.
Yeah. And that's something we've seen from Hannah Weiss all season, is that on some of these balls she hits, it's just a little too much power. Kaminsky serve, goes to Weiss. Holland. Weiss back again. Spikes it into the net. 6-2 St. Joe. As Mishawaka will get the point there.
Cammie Dustin back to serve for the Lady Cavemen.
And a nice hit there by St. Joe, but the ball will just go out of bounds. Point Cavemen. Dustin serve, clears the net, goes up for a spike. Dustin bumps it in the air. Holland sets it. Thornton goes up for the spike. And the ball clears the net. Nice block there at the line by Weiss. Weiss, Holland, Dustin goes up for the spike. As St. Joe's able to corral that one. Got to get it over here. They do. Dustin dives, gets it. Hannah Weiss lines up for the spike. That ball stays inbounds. Point, Cavemen.
That's what we've been saying all year with Hannah Weiss. Just she gets a set and she just booms it into the floor.
As the score will be 6-5 St. Joe here in this first set. As Cammy Dustin again is back to serve for the Cavemen. Possible net violation there, but none called. As Thornton spike clears the net, stays inbounds. Point, Mishawaka. And that's one of those plays in volleyball, Kyle, where you're not 100% sure if it's going to be in or out, so you let it go, and that came in the Cavemen's favor there. As another lucky break there for Mishawaka, as the St. Joe coach disagrees with the call, but the ball stays in bounds as Mishawaka will take the lead here 7-6. Dustin's serve gets tipped by the net. The spike by St. Joe tipped at the line. Reeser sets it up. Got to get it over here. And it looks like a little miscommunication there by the Cavemen. That was all in St. Joe tying this first set. Number 12, Megan Madden, back to serve for the Indians. Madden serve clears the net. Shied. Holland will set it up. Kenzie Thornton will go up, tip at the net. But able to recover. A little fist bump over the net there by Sooth. As Hannah Weiss' spike stays inbounds. 8-7, Mishawaka.
The Cavemen are looking really good against a really good St. Joe team here tonight.
And after a rough outing Tuesday against St. Joe, it was exciting until the Cavemen came out strong, and then, stuff happens, really. Cavemen, they came out weak. John Glenn did the majority of the scoring in the first set, and then really it was a back-and-forth battle that entire
Yeah, it
match.
was a back-and-forth battle the entire game.
5, Sarah Ritten back there to serve for St. Joe to Weiss. Holland will set it up. Kenzie Thornton will come up, tip it over. And a spike there by number 7, Sydney Hull. I believe that went through the hands of Jordan Holland and then hit Bailey Reister in the head.
Yeah, it sure did look like that.
Anyways, ball goes out of bounds as St. Joe gets the point. St. Joe serve goes over. Eggleston, Holland. Reister spikes it over as Holland will have a double hit there. As the Mishawaka bench disagrees, but the referee's call, and the referee's call will always stand. 10-8, St. Joe here in the first set. Britton serve. Weiss with the attempted dig. It goes off the side of her arm as the ball hit the ground. 11-8, St. Joe. As Britton serve clears the net to Eggleston. Holland will set it up. Kenzie Thornton with a tip, but the Indians are able to corral that one. A nice tip there by 15, Jerkovic. And the Indians will get yet another point as Steve Anderson will take a timeout. As we will too. We'll be right back. as we are back here from timeout. 12-8 St. Joe here in this first set. Back to serve for the Indians is number 5, Sarah Ritten, a senior. And let's get back to volleyball. Ritten serve clears the net and gets to Eggleston. Eggleston to Holland. As I believe that was hit by Reister over the net. St. Joe able to corral it. And a nice spike there that just goes out of bounds, but a nice hit there by 15 Sammy Jerkovic.
Number 7, Captain McKenzie Thornton, back to serve.
As the Caveman captain, number 7 Mackenzie Thornton will be back to serve there. Gets it over the net. Indians able to corral it. Jerkovic with the tip over. Able to be corralled. As Eggleston will tip it over. Nice save there by Jerkovic. As a spike there by 7th hole of the Indians. Unable to be corralled by the Cavemen. And the point will go to St. Joe. 13-9 here. St. Joe in this first set. Jerkovic back to serve. Thornton will bump. Holland spike. Eggleston spikes, excuse me. And that ball tipped at the net, but it deflects off of the Caveman and hits the ground. 14-9 St. Joe in the first set. And Jerkovic's serve sails out of bounds. Point, Mishawaka. Just a little too much mustard on that one, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, a lot of mustard on that one.
As number 3, Claire Scheid, the libero, will serve for Mishawaka. Scheid gets it over, able to be corralled. And a nice spike there by 10, Bella Kaminsky, a senior of the Indians. That ball deflected off of Hannah Weiss, but she was unable to corral it, and the point will go to St. Joe. And the libero for the Indians, Katie Schmidt, will serve here for St. Joe. A nice tip over by Holland, been able to be corralled by the Indians. And a little set battle there going over the net. As Eggleston's spike gets deflected at the net by 12, Megan Madden from the Indians, but the ball will just fall straight to the ground. Point, Mishawaka. As the other Caveman captain, Jordan Holland, will serve here for Mishawaka. Holland serve goes to Jerkovic. And an excellent spike there by Kaminsky of St. Joe. That'll increase the Indian lead to 5. As a substitution here for St. Joe, 11, Katie Verhiley will check in for Sarah Ritten. Sith back to serve for St. Joe. Her serve goes sailing out of bounds. Point, Mishawaka. 16-12, St. Joe here in this first period. Eggleston serve, clears the net. As the ball on the ground on the St. Joe side of things. Point, Mishawaka. As Eggleston serve clears the net, and the ball will find the ground. Point, St. Joe. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it does sound like we have some audio issues, but we're going to try and get those figured out as soon as we possibly can. Does it work? Okay. We'll keep going. Keep going. Let's keep going. Back to serve for the Cavemen is 10. Cammie Dustin. As that ball goes sailing out of bounds. And you know, those really haven't gone St. Joe's way tonight. Those balls going out of bounds. but a spike there by St. Joe goes sailing out of bounds. Another point for the Cavemen. Excuse me, point St. Joe.
And Hannah Weiss with a good spike, but just sailed right out of bounds. Point, Indians. Number 12, Megan Madden, back to serve. Hannah Weiss with the bump. Holland with the set. Weiss with the spike right into the net. Point, Indians.
21-15, St. Joe here in this first set, as Steve Anderson will take another timeout here. And we'll take a timeout here too. Thank you for tuning in to the Mishawaka Network. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I believe we figured out our nice, clear, cut, and concise broadcast from here on out. 21-15, St. Joe here in this first period. As Madden serves for the Indians. Scheid sets it up for Thornton. Thornton's spike goes. It's going to be tipped by a St. Joe player, excuse me. Point, Mishawaka. Hannah Weiss back to serve for Mishawaka. Weiss to serve, clears the net. And it'll be set up for Jerkovic, who slams the ball, but a nice dig there by Claire Scheid. Ball tipped at the net by an Indian. And the point will go to Mishawaka. Mishawaka mounting a comeback here, Kyle.
Yes, they're really playing really good against our great St. Joe team. One of the best in the NIC.
It's just a 4-point deficit here for Mishawaka. As Weiss to serve, clears the net. We're going to call forward on Cavemen. Cavemen looking to come back here and win this first set. Weiss's serve will get deflected by the net, as that'll bring the Indians within 3 points of winning the first set. A substitution for St. Joe. And if you're unfamiliar with volleyball, it's a best of 5 sets. Each game goes to 25. And first team to win 3 sets wins the entire thing. And the ball hit by Bailey Reister goes sailing into the net. Point St. Joe. Sarah Ritten back to serve for St. Joe. A nice tip over there by Jordan Holland. But they're able to recover. And a spike there by Sydney Hull is deflected at the net by Jordan Holland. And point Mishawaka. As the Cavemen captain 7, Mackenzie Thornton, will be back to serve for Mishawaka. And got to get it over on this one, as Sylph does. A sit there by Holland and a spike there by Thornton. That ball was probably going out of bounds if it wasn't tipped. But point, Cavemen, nonetheless. 23-20 here in the first set. St. Joe leads Mishawaka as the Cavemen look to get some points on the board here in an attempt to win this first set. Got to get it over here, they do. Thornton's bump. A nice tip there by Holland. into a clash of Indians. And a nice dig there by Mackenzie Thornton, but the ball will sail over the net and out of bounds. Point Indians. And that'll be set point for St. Joe here in the first set. As it'll be Jerkovic back to serve for St. Joe. Just shied. A nice tip there by Holland, but able to be dug out as the Indians and Mishawaka meet there at the net. And a nice hit over there by Emily Eggleston. And that'll cut the Indian lead to 3 here in this first set. The libero Claire Scheid back to serve for Mishawaka. Scheid serve clears the net. As Kaminski will hit the ball over, but a nice dig there by Thornton. Got to get it over here, and Scheid does. And they're going to set it here for Kaminski again. Tipped at the net by Mishawaka, and the ball go out of bounds. As St. Joe will win set 1, 25-21. As 20 minutes in between, and we'll see you back at the start for set 2. As we are back here in set 1 from the Indians. But the Cavemen will look to rebound here. That's the nice thing about volleyball. You lose a set, you just get as we look to see who will serve first here in the second set, and I believe it'll be St. Joe.
St. Joe will serve to start game number 2.
As St. Joe will serve. As Schmidt's serve is unable to be corralled by the Cavemen, and that ball go out of bounds. 1-0 St. Joe. As middle serve again. As that serve goes straight to Scheid. Scheid, Holland, Hannah Weiss winds up for a spike. As that retaliation will hit the ceiling, and Indians at the ball over the net, but it'll sail out of bounds. Point, Mishawaka.
A little too hard of a tip there by the Indians.
Yeah. Serving for Mishawaka is number 2, Emily Eggleston. As Eggleston serve will go to Jerkovic. And a spike there by Madden, but blocked at the net, and the point will go to Mishawaka. 2-1 Cavemen here in the second set. As Eggleston's serve will go over to Jerkovic. And a nut, and again, they're going to call a net violation on Mishawaka, excuse me. They hit the black part of the net, which is off limits during competition. Number 4, Sydney Solth, back to serve for the Indians. Solth serve will clear the net to Emily Eggleston. Eggleston, Holland, Hannah Weiss winds up for a spike. That stays in bounds. And that'll give Mishawaka the lead 3-2 here in the second set. And you know, that's been the story of the year so far, is Hannah Weiss and her excellent spikes, Kyle.
Did you bring a third camera?
As Madden's tip clears the net and unable to be corralled by the Cavemen. 3-3 here in the second set. That was a really nice tip there by Madden from St. Joe, Kyle.
Yes, that was a really nice tip.
As Kaminsky serves for the Indians. Holland will set it up, and Hannah Weiss's spike will get tipped at the net by an Indian, and the ball will go out of bounds. Point Mishawaka. Hannah Weiss back to serve for the Cavemen. Weiss's hit will clear the net. As Jerkovic will hit the ball over to Scheid. Scheid to Holland. And then Emma Brothers will hit the ball over there. And an attempted fist bump to the ball by Jerkovic has failed. And that'll bring the score to 5-3 Mishawaka in the second set. Hannah Weiss back to serve for the Cavemen. To Kaminsky. And Madden unable to get to that ball as it'll go out of bounds. 6-3 Mishawaka. And Hannah Weiss will serve for Mishawaka. A nice dig there by the libero from St. Joe as Madden's tip over out of the reach of Eggleston. 6-4 Mishawaka. And you know, that's another one of those Megan Madden tips there from St. Joe.
Yeah, she's had a lot of these tonight.
As she'll go back to serve for the Indians. Madden serve will clear the net. Goes to Hannah Weiss. Weiss, Holland, Mackenzie Thornton will line up for the spike, clears the net. As Jerkovic winds up for the spike, straight to Eggleston. And that spike had so much mustard on it. Eggleston was able to just have it deflect off arm and go over the net. But the ball will find ground in Cavemen territory, and that'll bring the score to 6-5 Mishawaka here in the second set. Madden back to serve for the Indians. A nice little float serve there. Hits to Scheid. And then Holland set there for Emma Brothers. Brothers will hit it straight into the net, and that'll tie it up here at 6 here in the second set. Megan Madden to serve again for the Indians. To Weiss. Weiss, Holland, Thornton lines up. Gets it over. As that ball will find Payer in Indian territory. 7-6.
Looks like a push by Holland right there.
as Captain Thornton will be back to serve. Serve goes to Jerkovic. Jerkovic goes up for the spike here. Tipped to the net by Holland and then sails out of bounds. Point St. Joe. As number 5, Sarah Ritten will check into the game for the Indians. Ritten back to serve. As Ritten's serve will hit the net, and that'll give Mishawaka the 8-7 lead here in the second set. Cavemen lost set 1, and they're looking to take set 2 here from the Indians to make things interesting. Claire Scheid to serve here for Mishawaka. Gets it over. Set up there for Jerkovic, and Jerkovic's spike will get tipped by Claire Scheid as she looks to avoid it. As that'll tie the game here at 8. Kyle, we've seen a pretty intense game here in the first set, and now here in the second set from the Cavemen and the Indians.
Yeah, both sets have been very competitive.
As Dustin goes up for the spike, as the Indians are able to prevent it from hitting the ground, and that ball might have gone out of bounds if the Captain Thornton didn't get in the way. But the point's going to go to St. Joe, and there will be 4 hits on Mishawaka. And that'll bring the score to 9-8 Indians here in the second set. Boyer's serve clears the net. Eggleston goes up for the spike, deflected at the net by Kaminsky. As Dustin will spike it over, but it'll hit the out of bounds pole there, sticking out of the net, as that'll increase the Indian lead to 2 here. As Boyer's serve will clear the net to Thornton, Holland, Kimmy Dustin with the tip over there, but a nice dig there by Ritten, and a nice spike there by Kaminsky, and they're gonna call. I'm not sure what they called there on Mishawaka there. As head coach Steve Anderson will take another timeout here, as will we. 11-8 St. Joe here in the second set. And we are back here after the Steve Anderson timeout, as number 3 for the Indians, Margot Boyer, will serve for St. Joe. 11-8 St. Joe here in the second set. St. Joe also took the first set from Mishawaka, as Boyer's serve will go to Weiss. And it looks like a two-handed dunk sort of ordeal there from Jordan Holland to go over the net. But the Indians are able to corral it. 12-8 St. Joe. Boyer's serve this time will sail way out of bounds. That'll be just a bit outside. And that'll bring the Cavemen within 3 points here. Back to serve the other Caveman captain, number 23, Jordan Holland. Holland with a nice serve over the net to Boyer. And a nice spike there by 7, Sydney Hull. And I'm not sure what they called there on Mishawaka again, but it'll result in a St. Joe point. The serve goes to Weiss. Weiss, Holland, Dustin spike will go out of bounds, as it looks like Caveman coach Steve Anderson disagrees with that call. but I'm not going to say it is or isn't, as they both have a better view than I do. As Holland will set up for Hannah Weiss, who hits an absolute missile, but it'll just barely go out of bounds. And that'll put the Indians up 6 here in the second set. St. Joe looking to pull away here, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, they're starting to pull away from the Cavemen.
As Weiss will wind up for another spike. As St. Joe's able to corral that one, and a nice hit over there by the libero. And a little miscommunication there between Dustin and Mackenzie Thornton. As Steve Anderson is a little irate there about that one. And, I agree with him, hit stuff like that, you have to know whether that's your ball or not, Kyle.
Yeah, you just got to communicate more on the court.
And, volleyball, you have 6 people on each side, as a nice tip there by Weiss. And, volleyball, you have 6 people on each side in that small condensed space. You really got to communicate to somebody, so if there's somebody behind you or beside you or in front of you. And that proved to be crucial there on that play. As Emily Eggleston will serve for Mishawaka. And that'll hit the top of the net and roll over. Point Cavemen. As that'll bring Mishawaka within 5 here in this second set. Eggleston serve will clear the net. They'll set it up for Madden. Madden with the tip straight to Dustin. Dustin, Holland, Hannah Weiss will wind up. And a spike there deflected at the net by St. Joe. But that puts so much power behind that one that the blocked ball goes out of bounds. Point, Mishawaka. Emily Eggleston back to serve for the Cavemen. Will clear the net. And it'll get set up for Kaminsky. A nice block there by the team of Weiss and Dustin. As that ball will get hit over by Sulf. And another Hannah Weiss spike. And that's just something we've called so much this year. Is Hannah Weiss absolutely obliterating that volleyball. And we're going to stick with you here on this timeout in the second set. And I want to remind you all that tomorrow night here at Stadium at Mishawaka High School, as the Mishawaka Cavemen football team will take on Virginia commit Ira Armstead and the John Adams Eagles. Kyle, how do you think that game's going to turn out tomorrow night? What are we looking for?
It's going to be a lot of scoring. Mishawaka defense is just going to have to step up against, the Virginia commit, Ira Armstead. He's going to have a great game tomorrow, and I feel like the Cavemen are just going to come out on top tomorrow.
The Cavemen defense able to shut down Armstead kind of last year in their sizable win over the Eagles. And, well, the Cavemen did lose some key defensive players, I believe. Well, yeah, I believe that they have that next man in mentality, and that, both teams are going to just go at it tomorrow. And I think we're going to have a good game. I think we're going to go to overtime tomorrow. That's my big take for tomorrow. I believe tomorrow's game, under the lights, in the rain, is going to go into overtime. My bold prediction. Kyle, what do you think?
I think the game's going to end 31-21. Cavemen win.
Really? We'll see, Kyle. We'll see. As we're back in action here out of the timeout, as Dustin's spike will go way long out of bounds. And 13, Hannah Tyler will check in to the game for the Indians. 17-13, St. Joe here in the second set of action, as number 4, Sydney Suth, will serve for St. Joe. Suth serve to Eggleston, and then Hannah Weiss with another spike there. As that ball hit by the libero will go behind the referee on the stand, and point will go to the Cavemen. Cammie Dustin back to serve for Mishawaka. Dustin serve will clear the net, as Kaminsky will go up for a spike here, just out of the reach of Cammie Dustin. Point, St. Joe. As Claire Scheid will check in for Cammie Dustin. As we have a section here of Mishawaka students here You know, it's nice to see the students come out and support a volleyball game. Because, you know, they have all the popular ones. They have the football games, the basketball games. But, you know, it's nice to see the students come out here and support their volleyball players as well. As Hannah Weasel serve here for Mishawaka. Her serve goes to the libero as Jerkovic will go up there with a nice hit off the fingertips of Claire Scheid. Ball out of bounds, point St. Joe. And that'll increase their lead to 4 here, 19-15 Indians in the second set. St. Joe looking to win their second set in a row as Megan Madden will serve for the Indians to Scheid. Scheid to Holland. Scheid's got to get it over here. It hits the ball right into the net. As Coach Steve Anderson is, again, he's, you know, all the miscommunication today by the Cavemen has to have Steve Anderson a little irate here, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, he's been yelling at his players almost all night because the Cavemen will not communicate on defense.
And, you know, like I said before, communication is crucial in volleyball. And Steve Anderson will take a timeout here, and so will we. 21-15 St. Joe here in the second set. And we are back here in action in the second set. And I just wanted to point out some key figures that are in the crowd tonight. We have Assistant Athletic Director Sherry Kaiser. She does a great job with what she does. You know, she's very supportive of all Cavemen sports. We have Mishawaka Principal John Ross here. Ross in his first year as the man in charge here at Mishawaka as Jerome Caldroni. Left to go to the Administration Center here at School City of Mishawaka as St. Joe will score a point. And it's nice to see another coach, a Mishawaka coach here supporting the girls volleyball team as head basketball coach Ron Heklinski is in the house tonight to support the Cavemen. And you know, as a student athlete here, it's nice to see the other coaches from the other sports coming out to support. Kyle.
Yes, it is.
As Brothers' spike will get tipped by an Indian and go out of bounds. Point Mishawaka. And of course, if you can't make it out, to the football game tomorrow night, or there's a high possibility if you can't make it to any regular season football game for the rest of the year, you can watch them all live here on the Mishawaka Network. And our good friends from WSBT, Sean Stiers, and whoever his guest may be, will bring you those football games as well as the boys' basketball games as soon as we get into basketball season, as Mishawaka will get a point here. You know, Sean Stiers from WSBT, he's one of the great guys here that commentate sports in the Mishawaka area, and we look forward to having him on tomorrow night. As Caden will get a point here, the ball goes ricocheting to John Ross, Mishawaka principal. As the libero Claire Scheid will be back to serve for Mishawaka. Scheid serve clears the net to Kaminsky. We'll set it up for Jerkovic, and that ball splits between Scheid and Mackenzie Thornton. And St. Joe will take the second set as well, as they'll look to sweep the Cavemen when we come back. Kyle and I will be right back on the Mishawaka Network for the start of set 3. And we are back here in the Cave. And just a little fun fact for you, the Cave is the oldest active gym in the state of Indiana. It was established in 1924 and has held many historic events here. As St. Joe leads 2-0 in this game, as the Indians will look to get a clean sweep here of the Cavemen and get home early for a nice home-cooked meal tonight. Holland with the spike. Madden will go up for the hit. And they're going to call a net violation on Mishawaka. Point St. Joe. Number 4, Sydney Suth, back to serve for the Indians. As Suth's hit will go up. As Scheidel hit it as Hannah Wiesel lay out for the ball. She's unable to corral it, and that'll increase the Indian lead to 2 here.
Another miscommunication play right there by the Cavemen.
And you know, if you're a coach, you know, all this miscommunication, that's just stuff you can't accept here at the varsity level. Right, Kyle?
Yes, sir.
As Hannah Wiesel tipped the ball over the net, point Mishawaka. as Emily Eggleston, number 2, will serve for Mishawaka. The Cavemen rocking some nice new Under Armour jerseys. And I believe they got those jerseys just a couple weeks ago, Kyle.
Yeah, they did.
They look great. As Holland will set it, as Holland shied. And then Thornton will hit the ball over here. Indians looking to crawl that ball and get it over, as they do to Weiss. Weiss, Holland. Holland set it up for Dustin. Dustin spike way too long. That'll increase the Indian lead. And you know, that's kind of been a common thing for Cammie Dustin, and there's really those spikes that just go too long. They have too much power behind them. Too much rocket fuel. As Kaminsky will serve for St. Joe. And the attempted dig there by Eggleston just out of her reach, as that'll increase the Indian lead to 3. As Margot Boyer will check into the game here for number 10, Bella Kaminsky. Boyer will go back to serve for the Indians. Eggleston with a hit. Holland sets it up for Cammie Dustin, and that'll be tipped by an Indian, and that'll cut the Indian lead in half, 4-2 in this third set. Dustin back to serve for the Cavemen. Dustin to Jerkovic, as Jerkovic will get the ball set up. A nice dig out of the ground there by Eggleston, as she'll get out of the way, as Mackenzie Thornton will hit the ball over the net. Boyer. And then a nice spike there by 13, Hannah Tyler. Deflected, tipped, at the net by the Cavemen, but it'll hit the ground in Cavemen territory, as the Indians will go up 3 here in the third set. 12, Megan Madden. She'll serve for St. Joe to Claire Scheid. Holland, Hannah Weiss with a tip there, just out of the reach of Madden. And the point will go to Mishawaka. 5-3, St. Joe here in this third set. Hannah Weiss's serve will get over to Boyer, as a nice little exchange there between teams. As that ball gets set up for Jerkovic. It tipped at the net by Emma Brothers. And that ball tipped at the net by Mackenzie Thornton. Cavemen really want this point here, it seems. All the effort plays are paying off. And a nice hit there by Jerkovic, as Holland will tip it over. That'll get set up twice, and then Mackenzie Thornton will hit the ball over. And the point finally goes to Mishawaka on this one, cutting the St. Joe lead to just 1 point here in this third set. You know, that was an exciting turn of events there, Kyle.
Yeah, a lot of spikes and a lot of blocks in that possession.
As Weiss's spike will go to Jerkovic. Jerkovic will get the ball set up for it, and that'll split the middle between Claire Scheid and Hannah Weiss. As it'll be 6-4 St. Joe here in the third set, excuse me. As Britton spike will clear the net. And the dive there by the libero Schmidt will find the ground. Point Mishawaka.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's step there. According to the concession stand, hot dogs.
Back to serve for the Cavemen is the captain, 7. As that ball gets met right in the middle of the net by a Caveman and an Indian. Then the ball will get hit over the net by an Indian. And that'll increase the St. Joe lead to 2 in the third set. As Jerkovic will serve here for the Indians. To Weiss. To Holland. To Eggleston. Eggleston will get it over. Schmidt. Jerkovic will get the ball set up for her. Tipped to the net by Holland. She'll bump it. As Claire Scheid's got to get over here, and she does. They'll get set up. And a nice tip there by Hull. Nice hit there by Eggleston. Clips the top of the net. Still clears it. Holland. Weiss. Eggleston will go up for another spike. That ball good over to Schmidt. As Kaminsky will go up for the hit there. But collected by Scheid. Brothers with the hit there to Jerkovic. Hold. Kaminsky with the tip. As that ball, as Hannah Weiss didn't have a nice corral on that ball, and the point will go to St. Joe. 8-5 Indians here in this third set. St. Joe looking to get the clean sweep of Mishawaka here as Jerkovic's serve will sail way out of bounds. As Cavemen have a 2-point deficit here in this third set. But they may have a 2-point deficit, Kyle, but they also have a 2-set deficit. How hard do you think that is going to be to overcome?
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to overcome. You don't see a lot of teams come back from 2-0, especially in volleyball.
But you know what, Kyle? Never say never, man. We've seen crazier things happen.
There's always a chance.
Always a chance. It ain't over till it's over, as the saying goes. As Kaminsky's serve will split between Scheid and Thornton. As the point will go to St. Joe. As number 2, the libero, Katie Schmidt, will serve for the Indians. Schmidt's serve goes to Weiss. Weiss, Dustin able to corral it out of bounds. As Weiss has to get it over here, and she does. And a nice hit there by Megan Madden. And that ball will stay inbounds, point St. Joe. And you know, from up here, that ball looked like it may have gone out of bounds, but the referee's got a better view than we do, so yeah, just go with it. Schmidt's ball stays in bounds, and that'll be a point for St. Joe. And you know, court vision is one of those things that's really important here in volleyball, as those balls that are near the line, you don't know. And Steve Anderson will take a timeout, and so will we. We'll be right back here. And we are back here in this third set of volleyball action in the Cave. And scores 11-7 St. Joe in the third set. But St. Joe also has that 2-set lead up on Mishawaka. That's going to be very difficult to come back from. St. Joe to serve. Weiss, Holland, Kimmy, Dustin will go with a spike, deflected at the net. And the referees are going to rule that ball is still in play. As Dustin will spike the ball, sails out of bounds. Point, St. Joe. St. Joe serve goes to Weiss. As Cammie Dustin yet again will hit that ball way too hard, and it'll sail out of bounds.
She just has not found her rhythm tonight.
No, and you know, as it is in all sports, you know, you'll have the athletes that have their off days. Nothing different here for Cammie Dustin. As Kaminsky's spike will go into the net, and that will cut the Indian lead to 5 here in the third set. We also have newly named Mishawaka girls basketball assistant coach Denise Shelton in the Cave tonight, supporting the volleyball team. And you know, Kyle, we have an excellent crew here tonight from the Mishawaka Network. We actually have people doing something they haven't done before, which is nice. They're learning everything So that way, if we need a spot to fill, they can do it. And, it's just something cool to see, isn't it?
Yes, and it's basically all run by students. Not a lot of adults in the program. We have a wonderful teacher, Mr. Matt Rendell.
Mr. Rendell, the reigning secondary teacher of the year for School City of Mishawaka. And, he's really just a great guy. He makes sure we all get set up. And, once the game starts, he really doesn't do a whole lot as the ball go out of bounds, point Cavemen. And, Mr. Rendell, once we start, like I said, he doesn't intervene. Everything is student run. He does a great job, but he does a great job outside of this for helping us set up and for teaching us how to use all this great stuff that we've been blessed with to use. As the ball, fine ground in Cavemen territory, point St. Joe, and the Indians are just 10 points away from a clean sweep of the Cavemen. Margot Boyer back to serve for the Indians. Boyer serve will clear the net to Eggleston. Eggleston, Holland, Mackenzie Thornton will go up. A nice spike over the net to Schmidt. And that ball will get deflected at the net and will stay in St. Joe territory. Point Mishawaka. As 22 Emma Brothers will check in for Claire's side. And Tammy Dustin will be back to serve for Mishawaka. Dustin, Schmidt. They'll set that ball up for Jerkovic, As Madden will hit that ball over. Kenzie Thornton goes up for the spike. Able to be corralled. And that ball will be deflected at the net, and that'll hype up the Cavemen as they cut the Indian lead to 4 here in this third set of action. 15-11, St. Joe in the third set. They also lead 2-0 over the Cavemen. As Mackenzie Thornton will go for the spike here. Schmidt able to corral it. But the other Indians are not able to. And 12-15, St. Joe in the third set. Dustin will be back to serve again for Mishawaka. Dustin serve barely clears the net. As that ball will get hit over. Eggleston to Weiss. Weiss goes Thornton with the tip there, but a nice dig by St. Joe. A little fist bump there from Tyler. As Hannah Weiss will wind up, and her spike gets blocked at the net. And the Cavemen are unable to corral the deflection. And the ball goes out of bounds. 16-12, St. Joe now in the third set. Megan Madden back to serve for the Indians. Madden's serve will go into the net. And that'll cut St. Joe lead to 3. And Hannah Weiss will be back to serve for Mishawaka. Weiss's mom, the head volleyball coach at the newly named Bethel University. As Holland will set up there for Mackenzie Thornton. Mackenzie Thornton's tip goes over the net. As Thornton, Holland, brothers, tips it over the net. And they're going to set that ball up for a nice little fist bump there by Samantha Suth. As Cole will get the ball over the net. And the Cavemen will hit the ball out of bounds. Point St. Joe.
Point, Lady Cavemen.
And it looks like, Kaya, we do have a pair of sisters on this team, as Samantha Suth, number 1, and Sydney Suth, number 4, are both on the court right now for St. Joe.
Yes, they are.
As Holland set the ball up for Emma Brothers. And Sarah Ritten unable to corral that ball. And that'll bring the score to 17-14. St. Joe here in the third set. Mackenzie Thornton back to serve for Mishawaka. Thornton serve will clear the net to Schmidt. Schmidt to Suth. to her sister. And that ball hit the ground. Point St. Joe. As Samantha Suth, number 1, will be back to serve for St. Joe. As Suth serve will clear the net. Thornton, Holland, Emily Eggleston. Spike will go into the net as the Indians are 6 points away here from a clean sweep of Mishawaka. As the serve there by Samantha Suth will go out of bounds. Point Mishawaka. And that'll cut the Indian lead to 4 here. So Kyle, you know, you and I, we're both part of the Mishawaka Network, but we're also part of Mr. Reynolds' radio and TV class. And you know, could you just take all the people that are viewing right now, what we go through to do stuff like this, but what we also go through to produce, you know, say like the school news and produce all the other videos we put out.
You know, Mr. Reynolds does a great job teaching us about how to work the cameras, how to use Final Cut Pro. It's just a great learning environment in his classroom.
And you know, people think we're just, you know, talking heads that, you know, we do a camera, we throw it in a computer and we send it out. But it actually takes so much more work than that. And you know, what do you have to say to those people that think it's easy?
It's not really easy because you have to edit all these videos, and editing is a hard job to do, especially when you have to make a ton of cuts on like the school news or even broadcasting a game. It's just, it takes so much time and effort to set up for it. But once the game starts, it's just smooth sailing from there.
And you know, sometimes that, you know, 85-minute class period that we have, that's really not enough. So that's why the school has us take that class once per day, because you know we're on a block scheduling with a maroon and a white day, and they have us take that class every day, so that way we can try and get content out to you before the deadlines. As we come out of the timeout here, 19-16 St. Joe in this third set. As Claire Scheid will be back to serve for Mishawaka. Scheid serve will clear the net to Suth. Suth to her sister, to Kaminsky. Her hit will go out of bounds, and that'll cut the St. Joe lead to 2 here in this third set. Scheid back to serve again. Scheid serve will clear the net to Suth. Suth to her sister to set up again, and then Kaminsky will push the ball over. A nice dig there by Thornton. Thornton, Holland, Emily Eggleston will go up for the ball. Get that back there by Schmidt. To Suth. Kaminsky again with a hit, and that ball will get deflected at the net, but it'll find the ground. 20-17 St. Joe in the third set. A substitution here as Samantha Suth will check out of the game, and Sammy Jerkovic will check in for the Indians. Jerkovic, whose name we've called a lot tonight, has really been one of these, you know, these key factors of tonight's outcome for the Indians. A nice tip there by Holland over the net. Kaminsky will push the ball over. A nice dig there by Weiss. Weiss, Holland, Eggleston with a tip there, and there's not an Indian there to get the ball. That'll cut the Indian lead to 2 here in this third set. As Jerkovic the ball over here, sets it up for Kaminsky. Kaminsky to Thornton. Thornton, Holland. And Cammie Dustin hit the ball over there as Mackenzie Thornton's unable to dig that ball up out of the ground. Point St. Joe.
Point St. Joe.
(21-18) Indians here in this third set of action. Thornton, Holland, Hannah Weasel mishit that ball, or misjudged it, excuse me. And Steve Anderson will take a timeout here, and so will we. 22-18 St. Joe here in the third set. And we are back in the cave here as the score is 22-18 St. Joe here in the third set. And St. Joe also leads 2-0. So the Indians just 3 points away, Kyle, from winning the whole entire thing. As Hannah Weasel wind up for a spike and she'll hit it into the net. And that'll leave the Indians just 2 points away from victory tonight. Sydney Smith back to serve for the Indians. Smith serve, clears the net to Scheid. Scheid, Holland will set it up. And Kimmy Dustin's spike will get reflected at the net to Schmidt. And that ball, a nice hit there by Kaminsky. And the ball will find the ground there as set and game point for St. Joe. Sydney still to look to close this game out here with this serve right here. Thornton will hit it. Holland. Reese will go up to spike it, and her spike clears the net, and that'll be all, folks. As St. Joe will take the victory over Mishawaka, 25-18. And we'll remind you, and Kyle and I just want to remind you that tomorrow night, football here at Steel Stadium. Mishawaka will take on Virginia quarterback commit Ira Armstead and the John Adams Eagles. If you can't make it out there, I believe kickoff's at 7 o'clock. If you can't make it out there, you can catch the game live on the Mishawaka Network. From the Mishawaka Network, I'm Isaac Hayes alongside Kyle Traxler, and we wish you all a good night.